States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve the minutes of March 23rd, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Christine. Katie, any amendments, discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? That motion carries. Chairman's comments tonight, there will be no comments. Thank you everyone for being here. Finance member comments and liaison reports. No more?
Yes, very briefly, we established several months ago a senior tax relief review committee. I believe, John, you're the vice chairman of that.
I am, thank you.
And we're still looking for members. I do have sent out a broad range of requests. I've gotten one raised hand, Jeff Downs. So we have room for another couple of members. If anybody out there wants to be part of this review committee, I would suggest that you talk to all of your friends and almost friends, see if you can come up with somebody to be on this. Mr. Downs is not a participant in it, so there's no conflict of interest there. So I think that's something that we should be aware of if you're scouting around and trying to find somebody. Not no conflict of interest. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. No more. I think it's important that we get a couple more people to help and volunteer. It's a good program, so thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah.
Any other liaison reports? Work for our first selectman, Peggy Lyons is here. Peggy, you ready?
Yeah, just I think the biggest update is, I think this came out after the last meeting, that the town, Madison was awarded $4 million from the State Bonding Commission to apply to the Academy Community Center project. So we're very pleased and excited about that got approved. So that'll be $4 million off of the $15.9 million that was approved by the voters of this town, and we'll make a big dent. It's almost a quarter of the cost of the project. So we're really excited about that. We're still actively pursuing other grants. We just submitted another one dealing today or last week, Aaron did, on hazardous abatement. We're going to continue going after SHPA grants, a whole other long list of grants that we want to use to apply to Academy. And then in addition to that, we're spending a lot of time internally with this new infrastructure bill that recently passed, targeting specific projects in town that we would be applying for grants for that to chip away at that CIP list that we talked about earlier and continue to offset some of that grant costs. So, and then tonight we'll obviously be voting on another bonding commission award that we received last summer for the Garden Point project. So these are all things that we're really focusing on to kind of get the nut down on a lot of these big projects. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions? Thanks, Peggy. You have citizen comments. Anybody from the public who would like to talk? No, there either. Second time, anybody from the public? Third and final time, public information session is closed. We're going to need a motion to open the agenda. So moved.
Second. We have a minute. I'm so excited to get their name in the minutes.
Go. No. Obviously, to set the mill rate for the town of Madison for fiscal 23 and the board, not to set the mill rate, excuse me, set the expenditures, the budget for the town of Madison and for the board of ed. That was your motion to open the agenda. Thank you. Don't want to second that, Katie. Thank you. Any discussion? If not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. That'll be I'll move that to 13. And for citizen comments at 14 and 15. We have a discussion and take action to approve line item transfer request for the Public Works Department total $15,000. Can I get that form of a motion and second to be discussed? Thank you, Chief. Second. Second. Thank you. Discussion. Guy, you want to?
Yeah, so the highway overtime account is getting low, so we need to move some of the funds over from our wages account, which we happen to have some excess there because we have a position that truck driver position, we haven't hired for yet, but it was expanded, so hopefully I can move that money over into the highway overtime account that we have in there.
Are you gonna need that drive at some point?
Yes.
When do you anticipate?
That, yeah, sooner than I did that wrong.
And I guess, John, is the overtime kind of related to the fact that there wasn't that extra driver?
No,
or was
it's not really, it just, we had some quirky storm events, flooding events and wind storms, and crews called in, so they were really emergency related things, not really
That would have happened
optional.
anyway. Might have happened anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
I had a question. I just thought that given the dress code that we were a little more comfortable.
Very good. We could have said orange since the public hearing back to back. You want to back that up and withdraw that?
Yeah, that's right. I'll pay the $10.
Put it in the minutes. Yeah, I got time. It's only 5.
Discuss and take action to approve a line item transfer request for Union Family Services Department amount of $2,500 and $940.
So moved.
Motion by Katie, second.
Second.
Discussion. Scott.
It's just a small amount. We had over budgeted for our mileage, not knowing how to estimate whether people are going to go back to normal this year. So we're moving that money in this year's budget to increase, at least for the rest of this fiscal year, what we pay for people to carry our after hours forward. And also a small amount to pay to one of our staff members for what we call supervision stipend. So this one of our staff that does direct services is not a supervisor by our job description, but does provide clinical supervision to one intern and 2 of our contractual staff. So she goes kind of above and beyond, and we did plan this to fund these at the increase in the next fiscal year, and I just felt like it was money we had in our budget for this year, and why not get started in this year, and help all people that are going above and beyond.
Scott, I'll carry it through the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? None, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any-
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed, abstention, that motion carries. Discuss and take action to approve a line item transfer request from the facilities department amount of $15,000.
So moved.
Thank you, Katie. Second, please. Second, thank you. No more. Discussion. Tony?
Sure. Unanticipated maintenance costs, I can go into more details if you want. It's a tight year and we need to move some money.
Where are you taking it from?
Utilities.
We have a solar carport.
That'll carry you through the end of the year, you think?
I'm anticipating that.
That's a good answer.
It's anticipated.
Yeah, it's regular, but short.
We're in April, right?
End of April, I have 2 more months.
There's always snow plowing.
Utilities.
No, that account. It's the school side. Gotta go on something.
Any other discussion?
Go ahead, Justin.
Just what about utilities, because things are up now, I mean, you only have 2 months, but obviously everything's up, so is that gonna impact?
So our biggest utility is electric, and we have a fixed price on that. So we're good. And gas, of course, was higher, but that's the other one. We were okay. So we're tight on gas. we did really well on our fixed contract.
Any other? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstention? That motion carries. Discuss and take action to approve accepting a state bond commission grant, Carbon Point Improvement Project, in the amount of $770,000. Funding requires matching funds in the CIP. Get a motion?
So moved.
Thanks, Katie. Second. Thanks, Jude. Peggy, you want to expound on this a little bit? Or?
Yeah, well, this was just, we were awarded this from the State Bonding Commission last summer, and we're now going to be going out, this for the Garden Point project, which I think the state of the total was 1.5 million. This is one that has continued to move up and up each year. We had under budgeted several years ago for this project. I think we had like 350 or 500 or whatever in CIP at one point, and it's turned into quite a big deal, this project, rebuilding the seawall, terminology. Exactly. This was a big help, because we were funded in CIP, and we're going to go out to RFP soon, and we just want to get the paperwork done in the state, so we can get access to money and get reimbursed for the project.
Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Peggy. As I recall, back when we were discussing what to do with Garland Point, there were several options. There was sort of a cheapo and a mid-range and the Gilbert, and we went for the most extensive, as I recall.
The plan is to do that, but part of this is going to be when they go through the process, we're going to get more type of proposals on what the best option would be, because now we're getting.
I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
That we want to
And
do it right.
Yeah, and we're actually gonna get like an engineering opinion on everything too, but that's the plan, is that we're gonna go with much more, so you don't lose any space, because that's important.
The last one.
Yeah, exactly, that'll last a long time, so that helps us get there.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, abstention? Carried. So we have item 11, new business, discuss and take action to approve this special appropriation request as follows. I'm going to list them. We can take them and vote on them all together, but list them and discuss them each time. So, from the emergency management director, the amount of $16,791.92 to fund expenses due to Hurricane Andrew. For the land use department, the amount of $20,000 fund project conservation and development. From the selectman's office, in the amount of $75,000 to fund the legal services account pending the town meeting approval, as reviewed in the budget process from the first selectman, in the amount of $29,147 for the purchase of electronic speed signs as requested in the fiscal 23 budget request pending town meeting approval. And as reviewed in the budget process from the first selectman, in the amount of $290,000 into the major roads account to fund road paving pending town meeting approval. So I'd like that in the form of a motion, and then we discuss each one. So, thank you, Justin. Second? Thank you, Katie. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Go on.
Yeah, why do we need 75,000 in the legal account? What's going on there? That sounds
Why did I
pretty
think that
heavy.
you were gonna ask that?
Somebody would.
So there was a number of kind of one-offs this year that we got hit. This is not one item, this is multiple that kind of accumulated in route for this year. So I can talk high level to some of this pending litigation, but it's a mixture of, I can talk about number one is the FOIA case that we're dealing with in the police department that went to the state, is going to the state Supreme Court. So that racked up quite a lot of money for the town, and that's in, in the Supreme Court level now. The easements on Boston Post Road, in order to get those done, we had to spend quite a bit of money with the attorneys to get that resolved, which is 95% there, but we're getting close. We're going out to bid actually for the project to start later this summer. We also had purchasing a property, cost money. So these three referendums, we had to accumulate some additional legal expenses to get these things to referendum. There was a case that unfortunately just went through the building, the state building codes of appeal. There was a case that we had to defend to one of our employees, and that ended up racking up quite a bill for us. So it's a lot of one-offs. I can give you the detailed breakdown. There's also the decision by the courts, for the appeals court for the Madison Beach Hotel concert series that the town was part of. So these are things that have been kind of over the last 3 years onwards, and they all kind of hit this year. So there's no view that we have to revise the budget for next year, and anything with the bonding and stuff will go through that cost process. We're not worried about that. So there's also an investigation going on in the police department. You know, these are all things that we had used outside the council to do. So it just kind of hit all at once. So there's a detailed list that, you can see if you want to see what the numbers are. But it's all these different one-offs. And it just kind of accumulated, and we thought, it just, all of a sudden, the bills started coming in December, January, February, and it was like, we're going to need more to get through.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I could stop in sometime.
Yeah, and I can show you this if you want to, so we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Just on that was actually pretty, disclosive, but I guess in terms of, I know some of them are sensitive, so at a town meeting, will you be able to go beyond that, or will what you just described to us be kind of the sense of the town meeting presentation?
I'm not sure, actually. I mean, it's all, they're all public cases, but I'm just saying, so we can talk about the case names. I can find out, but to go into.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking for your sake, what are people going to ask, or how about
Yeah.
how much details are going to.
Yeah, so, I can give that. I'm not sure actually in terms of like this level of depth, but I gave you pretty extensive, and there's some dollar amounts associated with each list that I mentioned that I can highlight. That, like I said, we're more one-off situations. They're not just day-to-day national.
Any other discussions or comments on?
Yeah, and you said that with this infusion for this year's budget, you don't think we need to hit next year's budget.
So you don't see it as a recurring?
Yeah, these are all not, like I said, one-offs, non-recurring cases. So that have been kind of, percolating, and now they're at the fourth level and stuff this year.
So that will percolate
That's
past
what
the
I was
first of
gonna ask,
July.
that's the first July.
Well, the one could, but I was assured that that's, once it gets to the Supreme Court, anything after that would be nominal, so it would be something that goes over the budget. And most of these should be done. So I think it'd be fine. There's only one, and that's the FOIA case, which is the biggest. That will go through the summer next year, but our understanding is the big piece is getting this brief, it's going to the Supreme Court, and that was the huge thing that came in December.
Any of the other items that were read? I'm going to mention the electronic speed signs. I think they work, and I think they're a deterrent. Not a question, just a comment. Any other?
And Johnny, the extra $290,000 for major roads. This was more than anticipated in the budget, or?
This was as a result of bridge construction that we have going on right now. So in a normal year, we spend about $500,000 out of the major roads account on road paving, when there's no active bridge construction going on. Now we have, kind of unusual, we have two bridges under construction this season, and we have two other bridges that are in design. So, we have to convert some of the major roads account money to pay for the matches to the grants that we have on those bridges. And, sticking away from the paving. So if I get the special appropriation for $290,000, that'll bring us back up to the normal level of funding for a road paving.
Is one of the bridges that went up on County Road up, going into Kilgore?
Yes, the County Road, Heatherwood is about to begin construction very soon. And there are 2 other bridges that are in design.
Justin, sorry, I might say it was still more done. Justin, you're on top of your game, but I can't say that.
John, I apologize if we've already mentioned this in another meeting, but with regard to the 2 new bridges, are there, I know we did get some grants for those, but is there any possibility of ARP, or are we looking for any more money possibly from any other sources, maybe like the infrastructure?
Not specifically for those are state, local grants, and they're 50% funded by the grant, 50% matched.
Okay, so like we can't match them with, federal
I
money.
think that might just complicate
Right.
the project, having different set criteria.
I think the other just thing to point out when we were talking about doing this is that it's likely that the cost of paving is going to be higher this year because of inflation and raw material costs, and that does help also keep this likely to be higher is going on now, right? So
Yes, and that's a good point. So it is about 12% higher just due to the escalation due to oil prices.
So is this gonna cover that?
Will help.
Again, I'll do that. I'll do that next. Why don't we just call me again?
At this stage. Any other discussions on that? Items that was read. All right, seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye, raise your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Abstention, that motion carries. Yes.
If we can just state where the amounts are coming from.
Oh, that's right, you said that to me before.
Or contingency.
I never miss.
That's 10. I'm shocked Fillmore didn't bring it in. Nobody brings it up.
I thought he was gonna too.
Where is it coming from, Stacy? What's your recommendation?
Well, I gave you guys all the fund balance, and the recommendation from our office would take the plan and conservation development plan of the 20,000 out of fund balance.
5 to 9, legal pending 75,
Yes. And then out of contingency, the hurricane on Ray and the speed signs.
fund balance to cover this. Contingency. So, we need to make that part of the motion? Yeah.
We just did some.
We just did?
Yeah, we just did it.
All right. Probably should vote again.
Yeah.
So, plan conservation development is 20,000 coming from the fund balance, 75 for legal, 290 for 90,000 for roads, and then for contingency is the hurricane 16722, and then speed signs 2947. Form of motion. Second, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, or abstention, motion carries. Stacy, thanks for bringing this to me before, right? You did.
It's well prepared.
Well prepared, I just forgot it. Seems to never have forgotten, never.
Back to the videotape.
I gotta do this again?
Separate one.
Revenue?
2.31.
No.
Okay, so just note that this is not included in the closing the $2.2 million for
And that's it. And where, what account was that in?
Thank you, Peggy. We have a review of the financials. Stacy's here. Phil, I know you're gonna have a question, so I'm gonna go right to you. I'm not gonna make you raise your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Stacy, would you walk us through the self-insurance?
Sure.
That sheet that you sent around?
So we ended last fiscal year at about $5.8 million in net assets. To date, this current fiscal year, we have a deficit based on our actual compared to our budget of about 870,000. So that beginning balance at this point in time has been reduced. And we're not sure, and that's through March, we're not sure what April, May, and June are, but we're looking, we're keeping on top of it, and I will definitely update you as soon as we get April. And then we're still good, well over our 25% goal of our projected claims. That is a Board of Finance regulation.
Okay, so the net, that 2.4, that's over and above.
Correct.
The 25%.
Correct.
And so the projected net assets of 4.9 is the 25% plus the 2.4. So
It's a 5.8 where we ended last year, minus the 871 where we were in actual activity through March. So that's as of right now, assuming that April, May, and June will be as budgeted. We don't know. Our consultants said, we have some spikes, so we're hoping that it will be a little bit more favorable. But we're not sure, but I will definitely update you as soon as I have April.
But we're still safe.
We're still well over our goal.
And this is sort of anticipating one of our next items on the budget. So we're still putting in the budget next year.
The amount that the actuaries.
The amount the actuary says, so we're not planning on spending all this excess.
Correct. Our hope is to keep the balance moving forward.
So the actuary gives an estimate of what that cost will be. It's not dumping any of the
Nope.
excess.
It's based on actual as well as a built-in trend, and that's how we build our budget for the following year, not touching any of this reserve balance.
That doesn't factor in.
What's that?
That doesn't factor in the reserve balance, right?
No.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on financials or for Stacy? Okay,
I have just 2 comments.
for Jan.
That now that we're going into May, I did send out an email to all senior staff asking them to look at all of their balances, coming up with projected balances, as well as look at any potential line item transfers or special appropriations. So they should be coming to you in May, knowing we kind of want to get, our arms really wrapped around it. We do know that gas and oil could potentially be an issue, so that will come to you in May. And then we also do have a line item transfers for salaries that will come to you, which will include some overtime for the police. So just want to give you all a heads up that those 2 will be coming forward, as well as we're going to be looking at our normal end of the year line item transfers / special appropriations for like payroll taxes, any other line items, but that will come to you next month. So I just kind of want to give you all a heads up that we're looking at that now.
Thank you. Okay, so we have from the, after we open the agenda up, and ask for a motion to approve the Town of Madison's recommended expenditures from the Board of Finance for fiscal 22-23 budget. The town budget amount of $31,104,668, which represents a 6.77% increase for fiscal 23. So I get that in form of a motion. Made by Pete, second by Katie. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstention? That motion carries. Board of Finance recommended expenditure for fiscal 2022-23 budget, fiscal 23 budget for the Board of Education, the amount of $60,255,417, 1.66% increase. I'd like that following motion, please. So moved. Thank you. Don't second. Second. Justin. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye or. Aye, any abstentions? Nays, motion carries. So also, for the Board of Finance, Town of Madison recommended expenditures for fiscal '23 budget in total, which includes the Town of Madison and the Board of Education, amount of $91,360,085, a 3.34% increase in total, and all the motion. Yes. Katie made the motion, Bill Moore second. James second. Okay, don't fight. We're gonna do multiple seconds, you know. Seconded by Bill Moore and Gene. How's that? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstention, that motion carries. We also have citizen comments. Anybody from the public would like to speak? Second time? So no, third, public information session is now closed. Motion adjourned. Motion made to adjourn, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Meeting is adjourned.